We begin with the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Puerto Rico following Hurricane Maria. There are signs the recovery is progressing, but at a slow pace. As of today, 65% of gas stations are up and running. Nearly half of supermarkets are open. But only 5% of people have power, and 36% of people have cell phone service. It's been 11 days since Hurricane Maria hit the island, creating widespread devastation. Officials like the mayor of San Juan say the federal response has been inadequate. Her comments drew the ire of President Trump, who criticized her leadership while praising relief efforts ahead of his visit to the storm-ravaged island on Tuesday. Our David Begnaud has been reporting on the island for nearly 2 weeks. Today he caught up with officials on the ground, including the governor of Puerto Rico. David asked what he thinks of the relief efforts.
Any state that would have passed through the situation that Puerto Rico passed would have had as many challenges or similar challenges to us. I know that there is more that we need to do, but it is important that we recognize that the president, state governments are helping, are putting their resources, and just because one of them or some of them haven't put it on a tweet does not mean that they are not working for Puerto Rico. I am here to tell you, as Chief Executive of Puerto Rico, that they are, that they're working, and that they're working tirelessly so that we can get all of the resources.
CBS News correspondent David Begnaud is in San Juan. So David, what is the situation on the ground? What are you seeing?
Elaine, work is being done. I talked to the head of FEMA who's running the operation here, the lieutenant general who's overseeing the military operation, and the governor who you just heard from. They are doing work, but it's not happening fast enough. At the press conference today, right before I asked the governor the question that led to that response, I got a message from an academic in Ponce who's in the southern part of the island who said, people will die. We are in dire need of supplies. Can you ask the governor on our behalf to get them here today? There was another dispatch and call for help on the western side of the island from a man who said, we've been drinking rainwater from our roof. Thanks to the rain that's been falling, we've been collecting the rainwater in a kiddie pool, and that's what we've been drinking. So the governor is right, and so is the president. There is a strong relief effort happening here, but it's not happening fast enough. 11 days after the hurricane in a sweltering hot tropical climate.
So that answers the question about how residents are feeling about the relief response. Let me ask you, you talked to some FEMA and military officials. What is it that they specifically are saying they still need right now?
Well, here's what's interesting. The general who I spoke with actually headed up the relief efforts during Hurricane Harvey in Texas, and he's now here overseeing things in Puerto Rico. And there's a little bit of frustration at the press conferences because when you ask questions of officials, what you get is, we're doing a good job, we're trying hard, we're trying, but it's clear it's not enough. So I went up to the general and I said, can I just get some of your time to try and figure out exactly why it is happening so slowly? And this general, by the way, is also someone who a few days ago indicated there weren't enough boots on the ground.
We've got a lot of stuff coming in, medical support, logistics, rotary wing aviation. You know, when I got here 2 days ago, we had 25 helicopters. Today we're up to 44. We're going to go up to 72 in the next 5 days. So a lot of it is getting the things in that are already on the way and then helping our partners at FEMA support the governor with this priority.
And I hear what you're saying, but the governor made a good point today. Anything on the mainland would have seemed to go faster than it has here. Help me explain to Americans on the mainland, what is the issue here with getting stuff here faster?
So I'll give you a very quick example.
Yeah.
You know, because I was a Joint Force Land Component Commander for Harvey in Texas as well.
Okay.
So Harvey, you may remember, caused massive damage in Houston, but also to the east in Beaumont.
Yep.
And worse actually in Beaumont over time. So the issue was Texas needed help. Who helped? Louisiana. They were right next door. They were able to pull citizens from Texas into Louisiana. And it's right, geography makes a huge difference.
There's no next door to Puerto Rico.
There is not a next door.
Are you you're the one who's, I don't want to put words, I'm paraphrasing what you said. We don't have enough boots on the ground here, right?
But
we don't have enough resources.
It is on its way.
Gotcha.
What I said at the beginning was we don't have enough, but it's coming.
Yep. Is a lieutenant general satisfied with how slow it's been to get it here?
You know, I'm never satisfied. I want to help the people who deserve help right now. I'm never going to be satisfied. But I can tell you that the entire Department of Defense has made it very clear to me that anything that we need here to help our partners at FEMA, it's on its way.
The man standing to the side of the lieutenant general is the regional administrator for FEMA, who's overseeing the operation here. And he talked about the logistical challenge, Elaine, not only to get food and water to where it needs to go, but to make sure that the hospitals have diesel every 48 hours so that they don't run out, that the dialysis centers are up and running. And Elaine, just to be clear on this, FEMA gets the supplies where they need to go, to the distribution centers and to the leaders of the local municipalities. But it's up to those local leaders to then turn around and put those bottles of water and those plates of food in the hands of the people who need them.
It's a really important point. It's such a bleak picture, though, that you paint, David, and I wonder, how long do officials realistically expect it to take for Puerto Rico to have those basic infrastructure systems up fully and functioning?
Well, let me say this. You got 5% of the power grid that's working. The governor was asked yesterday by a reporter in the room. The reporter said, hey, you know, I heard that the electrical grid could be offline and people could be without power for up to a year. And the governor didn't argue with that. The infrastructure system here is pathetic. The governor's used a different word to describe it, but that's it. And so they're dealing with a weak infrastructure. And also, Elaine, I got to remind you, they're still working to get people here to actually help do some of the work. Locals, Puerto Ricans, to get them back to work, because the more Puerto Ricans they can get back to work to drive the trucks to deliver the supplies, the better off they're going to be. But when we went to the port of San Juan yesterday, there were still about 2,500 shipping containers that were sitting there. Now, these are shipping containers that are going to ship to private grocery stores, but they still haven't gone out. So what FEMA's done is come in and said, hey, listen, you know what? We're going to go buy up that food, and we're going to ship it out ourselves.
All right, David Begnaud in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where the challenges continue to be daunting. David, thank you so much.
You bet.